We live in an abundant universe, and the divine vision for each of us is total abundance. This means total peace, harmony, love, health, prosperity, and our heart's desire. In the beginning, a small child lived with his father, and they had a beautiful, abundant garden. Everything they could possibly want or need grew there, and they tended it with love and care. As the child grew older, he wanted a garden like his father. His father said, "I'll mark a corner of the garden for you. It can be your very own garden, where you can grow what you want, and you can learn for yourself." He duly marked out a little plot for the child, and one for each of the other children. Of course, the child could run and play in his father's garden whenever he wanted to, and share in everything there. The father said to the child, "I'll make things easy for you. The soil in your plot is so rich that every single seed you sow will germinate and grow into a plant. That way you will quickly learn to grow plants that you like. As soon as you've learned all you want to, you won't need a separate plot anymore. You'll work with me in the garden of abundance." Everything started well. The child planted in his personal plot and played in his father's garden, but gradually he became careless about pulling out weeds which grew from seeds of disharmony. Some were prickly and difficult to pull out, and as he left them they grew like huge prickly cactus plants, until eventually a great cactus thicket trapped him in his garden. He couldn't get through it, and so it separated him from his father's garden and that of his brothers and sisters. Because he felt lonely and separate, he felt as though his father and siblings didn't love him anymore. And because we believe we are separate, we think the Universal Father doesn't love us anymore. We are under the illusion that we have no access to God, and we stay trapped in the garden of our personal unconscious. Little do we realize that there is a wonderland of love and abundance waiting as soon as we clear away the cacti of envy, jealousy, greed, meanness, unworthiness, anger, resentment, and fear which wall off our little ego selves. Then we can enter the divine garden of abundance and pick fruits of joy and happiness. So how do we start the process of dissolving these blocks round our heart which stop us having a connection with the divine? It is an important first step to recognize that the blocks come from us and not the other way round. The divine energy wants to get through to us, but cannot do so until we have learnt our lessons. So there is help for us every step of the way. Our beliefs and fears are unconscious blocks to abundance. Maybe we want to open to an abundance of love. We want a relationship, but somehow it never works. Here are some possible beliefs that block us from having love abundance. If I let people close, they might find what I'm really like. I may be trapped. I may get hurt. I may be abandoned. They might demand too much of me. They might expect too much of me. I would have to share. A relationship would take too much time. They might only want me for my money or looks. Similarly, when we are ill or in poor health, we hold beliefs which block us from getting better or enjoying an abundance of good health. Possible beliefs that block us from health are: if I am well, no one will look after me. I will have to give up my anger where anger makes us ill and can also be a motive for living. If I'm well, people will expect me to get a better job. If I'm well, people will put expectations on me. I will be accountable for what I do with my life. I will have no excuse for not doing things or not seeing certain people. How else can I get love and attention? Misery is addictive. It is seductive. It is a controlling position. Possible beliefs that block us from an abundance of happiness are: what would I think about if I gave up misery? What would I do with my time if I had no misery to deal with? While I'm sad, people look after me and notice me. How else could I get people to do what I want? Karma is Sanskrit for comeback, and every emotion we send to someone else comes boomeranging back to us. So it is a universal law that what we wish for someone else, we wish for ourselves. If we wish another ill luck boomerangs back to us. If we wish someone would fail an exam, that degree of failure comes to us. And as we wish someone success, we get more success. If we wish someone luck and love, more love flows through us. So when we want abundance, we must wish that everyone around us has abundance. If you want to be a brilliant musician, wish all the musicians you know good fortune. If you want to be a recognized actor or actress, praise other actors and rejoice in their good fortune. One of the most abundance-creating exercises we can do is this. Imagine someone you dislike or are in rivalry with, receiving all that they want. Visualize it clearly and do it gladly. Then see yourself receiving all that you want too. Your generosity creates abundance for you. And always remember that forgiveness dissolves hate and revenge, trust dissolves suspicion, kindness dissolves meanness, generosity opens our hearts, unconditional love heals us and others. We can start now to review our thoughts, our words, our motives, our lives. Money is not abundance. We can manifest riches all alone in our cactus garden, but they can be taken away. Success alone is not abundance, for that too can disappear overnight. When we know deep within us that we are a beloved child of the Universal Father, then we start to dissolve our blocks to abundance. As we link into this higher energy, we know all our needs will be met. And then prosperity, love, health, and peace flow through us as we become channels for the divine. When we know we are a beloved child, then we feel lovable and worthy and act in that way. To test your lovability and worthiness, notice how you respond to compliments. Do you accept them graciously? Or do you feel suspicious, as if you are sure they don't really mean it, or even worse, are laughing at you? How do you receive presents? Are you grateful and pleased? Do you really wish they wouldn't bother because you have to repay? Do you feel they shouldn't go to so much trouble for you? Do you feel awkward? We limit abundance by not allowing ourselves to receive. Here is an important way to start changing this. The law of prayer is quite simple. It is, ask, believing, and you will receive. This is widely quoted and both misunderstood and ignored. It is no use saying, please God, make me more generous, and then acting in a tight-fisted way. It is no use saying, please God, can I have a new car, and then not expecting it to manifest. This is what most people do, and it is a waste of energy. Ask, with faith that it is granted, and it is already given to you. It is faith that activates the law of prayer. Our task is to be clear about what we want, to ask for it and believe we'll get it. People say, there is no use praying for it. I can't possibly see how I can get it. Or someone says, there is no use praying for a total healing. The doctor says it is incurable, and there probably is no way that our little limited self can get it or cure it. Luckily, the great universal mind has limitless potential. God has powers that most of us cannot comprehend. So all we need to do is ask with faith. The how is up to the universe. When we have total faith and pray for something, we are expected to act as if the prayer is already granted. That is the test of faith. There were 2 women on one of my abundance workshops. Both wanted to move into new homes. Neither could see any possibility of finding the home she wanted nor of having the money to do so. I explained to them they had to ask for what they wanted in the most minute detail. In other words, have total clarity, and then expect it or something better to happen. I asked them to add to what they had written, and write in the end, for the highest good of all concerned. I suggested that as an act of faith they go home and pack their belongings up, as if their new home was already prepared. The next day, one of the women phoned me to say that she had made a list of 16 requirements for her new home. She had gone back to her apartment after the workshop and packed everything. I can leave here within 24 hours, she told me. I heard nothing from the other woman. 3 days later, the first woman phoned again, delirious with excitement. A friend of a friend of a friend had heard that she was looking for a new place and offered her exactly what she wanted at a rent that she could afford. She was moving in the next day. I saw the second woman a month later. She had written a sort of list, but it seemed somehow impossible and she didn't really think she could get it. She told me she couldn't pack her belongings because it would have been so hurtful for the man she lived with. A year later, I heard she was still in the same place, a victim of the fates and lack of faith. Here is a story I heard Graham Brown tell on one of his very powerful universal training workshops. One of the men participating in a workshop had got into touch with an enormous amount of anger with his parents. He had had a terrific abreaction and released the anger and come to a totally new understanding about his parents. He went home after the workshop and was met by his little 3-year-old daughter. He felt so good. He picked her up and gave her a huge hug, saying, "You'll never guess what Daddy's been doing today." The little girl looked at him gravely and said, "You've been letting go of all the things that stopped you from loving me." It was while Mummy and I were in the shops. She knew. She felt the change in energy, and as he dissolved his anger, he opened up to the abundance of a new relationship with his daughter. Something very similar happened to me. I was engaged to my second husband and I was frightened of the commitment. I didn't want to get hurt again. I could think of a million reasons why I would be better off on my own. As the wedding day grew nearer, it seemed very scary. I knew he felt the same way. We niggled at each other and things were becoming fraught between us. We discussed it and decided we would take our houses off the market. We'd remain friends and not get married. I took off my engagement ring and went away to think. A week later, we met to discuss it again and came to the same conclusion. We had too many differences. It couldn't possibly work. The next day, I was driving along thinking about the flame of truth. Suddenly, I saw clairvoyantly a huge flame appear in front of me. As I moved towards it, I saw my walls around me, rows and rows of them. No wonder the relationship couldn't work. As I moved into the flame of truth, the walls fell down one by one, and I knew I could make the relationship work. It was totally up to me. All I had to do was take my walls down. I drove home and put my engagement ring back on. When Eric came to see me that evening, I said, "It's okay, we're engaged again." He said, "Yes, I know. It happened at 6 o'clock. He was in another town and felt the change in my energy. I took down the walls. Both houses sold immediately, and our new one appeared on queue. And because I let go of my blocks, I discovered a husband who was more generous, more kind, more loving beyond my wildest expectations. In that one instant, I allowed true abundance to flow in. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Astral Bee, and to click on the notification bell so you don't miss out on new chapters arriving in the Transformation series. May love, light, and inspiration always find you.